Hello, hello. Today we are talking about this podcast. If you've ever wondered what it takes to produce a podcast, how much equipment or time it takes, well, my friend, today you are in luck. So I'll see you on the inside.
You're listening to my mom
on the Mommy's Home Office show.
Okay, Mom, yes, your turn. Love you. Yeah, push Mommy up.
Aw, thanks, guys. Now go play so I can record this. Welcome to the Mommy's Home Office podcast, where I pull back the curtains and talk about the realities of starting and running a successful online business from home. I'm your host, Nicole Wynn. Let's do this. Today's episode is brought to you by my very own online business starter kit. It's 100% free and so full of amazing and valuable information. You are going to want to jump on this. It walks you through everything you need to start an online business from home. So go grab that at mommyshomeoffice.com/starter kit. All right, so in today's episode, I'm going to break down my podcast workflow and tell you exactly how I produce this show every single week. Well, most every single week. My ankle is still in a cast for another week or so, and then I will get a boot for 4 weeks. So that is the progress with my ankle. And I gotta tell you, ladies, broken ankles with all the torn ligaments and tendons is no fun. I hope you never, ever, ever have to go through that. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick update. Let's jump into today's show. First, I want to talk about why I chose podcasting. I could have chosen blogging, videos on YouTube, a live show on Facebook or Instagram, but I chose podcasting. And I chose it because I myself am a podcast junkie and I love to talk. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I can go on and on and on. I knew that I needed to be consistent with whatever I decided to use as my regular content platform, and I was really turned on by the fact that I could batch record episodes, and that was really appealing to me. Sure, I could batch anything, but getting dressed and putting makeup on for video was too daunting, and then all of the editing makes me want to cringe just thinking about it. It's a lot of work. Plus, I really like to write, but I wanted my voice to be heard, so I figured I'd give podcasting a shot and see how it goes. So now I gotta tell you, I'm totally addicted. I have a system down that works really well. I've refined it so that way it takes me so much less time than it did in the very beginning. I feel like I'm really starting to find my voice with this podcast, and I think that's a good thing. It takes a little while for everybody to find their voice, and I think I'm finally getting there. We're gonna start first with the gear that I use to do this podcast. So it's pretty simple as far as actual gear goes. So I'm going to put all of these links in the show notes so you're not trying to scramble and remember what kind of mic I had. And then I'm actually starting a Facebook group called the Mommy's Home Office Insiders Group. And I'd love for you to go check it out because that's where I'm going to post pictures of my actual setup so you can see exactly what my podcast little mini studio in my closet looks like. Okay, so speaking of microphones, the microphone I use is the Audio-Technica 2100, and it's a USB mic. I chose this because it was recommended by Pat Flynn and multiple other people, so I thought it's a good choice. And it's only like $60 or $40. I'm not exactly sure. It's not expensive as far as mics go. A lot of people use the Blue Yeti. That one is about $130. So yeah, this one's a good mic for in between. Then I use a boom arm. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's this arm that sticks out and holds the microphone so that way I don't have to bend over and it attaches really nicely to the desk or to a table. Right now it's attached to the shelf in my closet because I've adopted the closet as my podcasting space. I just like it because there's no yard sounds like people using lawnmowers or weed eaters or construction sounds. And it's kind of in the back of my house, closed off where the kids don't get it necessarily and they don't mess with my stuff in here. So it works out pretty well. To that, I have a pop filter that's attached to that boom arm that sits right in front of my microphone. And the pop filter takes out all the S's, or not all of them, but it helps take out all the S's and the wind, basically. So those are the 3 pieces of equipment that I use. And the rest is software based. So we're going to start talking about software now. And the tools that I use, the first one is GarageBand. I record in GarageBand. GarageBand. I edit in GarageBand. I really like it. It's simple for me. I've heard a lot of people don't like it, but that's what I learned and know. And Pat Flynn taught this in his podcasting tutorials. So that is the software that I'm using to record this. Now, GarageBand is for Mac only. I have dabbled with looking at Hindenburg, and there's a couple of other ones out there, but I decided on GarageBand. The only reason I would switch out right now is if I gave my podcasting editing over to my VA. She does not have a Mac, so GarageBand wouldn't really work for her. And Hindenburg allows a lot of functionality, but you have to pay for it, whereas GarageBand is free. So I'm going the free route for now until I need to hand that off. The next tool I use is Skype, and I use it for interviews. I like to see the person when I'm talking to them, so I really like to have a video call with them if possible because facial cues and different things can really make the interview flow a little bit better. But sometimes there's a lag in Skype, and that's with all of them. I looked at a bunch of different recording ones, and Skype just tends to be the one that most people have, and they don't have to set up another account. Another one people are using is Zoom. I had a little bit of problems when I first started with that, so I chose Skype. And then I use a recorder for that records our conversations, and I use Ecamm Live. And that, again, is a Mac tool, and it's really nice because it splits it into 2 audio files. So I can have 2 WAV audio files that really can help me adjust the sound levels for each person if somebody is off, or I can really take out all the little noises that one person might be making, or if there's feedback, sometimes I can take that out depending on how that feedback sounds. So that's why I chose Ecamm Recorder, and I think it's only like $40 forever. So that is definitely worth checking out. So this next one isn't really a tool, it's a person. I have a sound engineer in the family. So my cousin's husband is a sound engineer, and he is amazing. Carson Baker is my secret weapon, and he owns Nexus Integrated Systems and Services. Basically, I send him my edited podcast, and he masters it and levels out the sound, takes out any weird buzzing noises, makes sure it really sounds quality level. He has loads and loads of experience, and he's really affordable. So if you're looking for that quality sound, definitely check him out. I'll put his link in the show notes. If you don't use a sound expert, I recommend that you take your sound from your finished MP3 or WAV file and run it through Auphonic, and it's free for a certain number of minutes, and then you start paying. Pat Flynn recommended that too. See, so a lot of this stuff is recommended by Pat Flynn of the Smart Passive Income podcast. After I get it back from my sound expert, or I ran it through Auphonic, I upload it to my RSS feed, which is Libsyn. I use Libsyn, and that is a syndication feed that puts it out everywhere. So it'll put it on iTunes, it will put it on SoundCloud, it will put it on TuneIn and Stitcher and all those other Google Play, all the other venues that I want to be featured on, and it'll do that for me. But you got to remember that you have to sign up individually for each one of those services. You have to get your podcast approved and signed up, and then get your feed, and it'll automatically populate that for you every time you publish a new episode in Libsyn. So that's really nice. You publish it one place, and that's all you have to worry about, and it takes it everywhere. Now, the number 9, I use this tool called Repurpose. It is basically takes your audio and puts it in a video format with a background of your choosing. And it makes it really nice because it pops it on YouTube, it populates your channel. So if somebody needs to watch it or doesn't have the capability to listen for some reason and they want to listen through YouTube, they can do that as well. Now then, for my cute little social graphics and social snippets that you can see over on Instagram and Facebook at Mommy's Home Office, they'll have the little sound bars or the circle that does the sound bouncing every time you talk. For those cool graphics, I use something called Wave, and it really lets me take little tiny snippets, 60 seconds or 15 seconds, and I create a video out of it that lets me put it on Instagram, Facebook, Insta stories, depending on where I put it. And it helps grab people's attention because there's a sound bar bouncing and they know that sound needs to be turned on for that. That is, I think it's $10 a month for 10 minutes. Maybe it's $12 a month for 10 minutes, something like that. But it's not very expensive. And with 10 minutes of content download, that is 10 different podcast clips that I can produce for that. And if I need more, I can upgrade. That's not a problem. But I do like the fact that I can resize my sound bars and I can make them whatever color I want. I can make them circles, squares, bars, dots, all sorts of stuff. And it's really cool. Wave is also the one. I'm pretty sure that Jenna Kutcher uses that one. Amy Porterfield uses that one. That's how you're seeing those Instagram posts that have those cool sound bars on them. So those are the 10 things I use to run my podcast every time. Now I wanted to talk about how long it takes for me to record an episode. It takes about, I don't know, if I have to write it and then I have to go in and record it and then I edit it and then I get it back and I have to write the show notes and I have to put up all the stuff onto Libsyn and into the website, it takes me about 3 hours per episode. That's about how long it takes. Now, if it's a longer episode, it can go up to 4 hours per episode. But keep in mind that if I was doing a blog post, it would probably take about the same amount of time for me to do that, to write it correctly and get it all the way I want it. Because I'm essentially doing two things with this podcast. I am putting it out in text format almost on my blog or on my website. And it's like a blog post. So everything you're hearing here is almost transcribed on the website for the show notes. And I need that for SEO and for my website. Plus I have lots of links and different things because I don't want you guys to have to go the long way. You can just click on the links and make it easy. So all of those things have to be done. And then all of the SEO on the site has to be done and the keywords and all of that stuff. So it's essentially doing a blog post and an audio track that goes with it, but it gets out to a lot more people, and a lot of people listen to podcasts now. So that's why I still choose to do it, even though it takes me 3 to 4 hours per episode. And then the day it goes live, I do some social media stuff with it too, but that can all be scheduled in advance. That's why I really like it. Yeah. That's it. That's how I do this. I literally write the episode in my office, or right now because of my broken ankle, I will write it in my bed, and then I go into my closet, I hit record, and I try to do little snippets of it. Like I say a sentence or say a section of it, and then I pause, catch my breath, drink some water, and then start again. And I feel like when I do that, I have a lot less edits. Then after I'm done recording, I take it back to my desk or my bed and I edit the podcast. And so I take out all the extra dead space because I really am trying to be cognizant of your time. Once I'm done editing it, I put in the bumpers, which are the intro and the outros and all of that stuff. And then send it off to my sound guy. Put it in my Google shared folder for him, and then he sends it back to me when it sounds really great. And then I upload that to Libsyn and have to do all the details and show notes in Libsyn as well. And then I take it to my website, which is a WordPress website. So I take the Libsyn information, put it into a player on my website, do the graphics for the post, put in the show notes, which is basically most of the time just copy and pasting. And then I format it, make sure the SEO clicks correctly, all the keywords are right, and all the alt descriptions are in the photos that I place there. And then I hit publish, or I schedule it to be published. Then I work on the social media posts for that specific episode, and I get the snippets done, the audio snippets done. I get a graphic for it. I put it into I figure out what waveform I want to use for it, put it into Wave, and then download that little video and schedule that, or go ahead and post that onto my Instagram and Facebook profiles. So that's the whole cycle of it. And if it's a really good episode, I might run some ads to it, some Instagram ads or Facebook ads to it, so I can get more people listening to the podcast. That's my goal. I want to reach as many moms as I possibly can, and I really hope you're getting immense value out of this. You know, a lot of times I teach what I need to hear myself. So that's a lot of those episodes are for that. But I'm sincerely want this to be a great resource and tool for you in your online business journey. All right. So a couple of assignments for you. Go join the Mommy's Home Office Insiders group on Facebook to catch all the behind the scenes podcast stuff. and go grab that free copy of the starter kit. And if it's not quite ready by the time this episode airs, you'll still be able to sign up for it and you'll get it as soon as I have it finished. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week, and I will chat with you next Wednesday. I really hope that you're loving this podcast as much as I am. If you are, please, please, please leave a raving review on iTunes so more moms can find us. Easiest way to get there? mommyshomeoffice.com/iTunes. And just one last thing. Mom, you've got this. Now go kick some ass.